My name is Roderick, and I have been working with a number of lawyers and scientists to develop what we call the Draft Declaration on Planetary Boundaries. This is based on the concept that has been led by Bjorn Rockström and about 28 scientists who came out with the concept in 2009, which is based on the idea that in their view there are about 9 Earth system processes that keep the planet in a stable and resilient fashion that it has been for several thousand years. And if we don't keep an eye on these 9 different processes, then the planet will be in deep difficulty. And this concept, for me, in 20 years of working as a public interest environmental lawyer, has been the most interesting, let's say, Western scientific way of thinking about our relationship with the planet and thinking about the planet. And it's saying that there's a biophysical reality that precedes everything else. And this is very important for Rio, because Rio is the conference on sustainable development. And sustainable development is usually trotted out as a balance between economy, society and environment. But of course what this is saying is that before we have anything else, there is biophysical reality. There is, which for me is reality. Society comes within that, and economy is there to help society. But it's not some mushy balance that is suggested by the concept of sustainability, of sustainable development. So it's a new framing of an approach to sustainable living on the planet. The declaration suggests that there are 3 principles associated with this, of recognition, of respect and responsibility. We must recognise that there are these Earth system processes on which life on the planet depends, and we must start to frame our knowledge and our understanding in relation to them. We must continue to research them and to scientifically and publicly talk about them, to think about our relationship with the planet in terms of these 9 processes, or perhaps we'll find as we develop our understanding there are 8 processes or there are 10 processes, whatever. But basically the idea of Earth system processes that we all depend on before anything else is really, really important. We would also then take forward the idea of recognition, of respecting these processes by establishing, first of all, understanding scientifically where these processes can slip into abrupt and non-linear change. And the 9 processes that they're talking about, obviously, things like climate change and biodiversity, but also like nitrogen, the nitrogen cycle, the phosphorus cycle, ocean acidification, chemical pollution, land use change, global freshwater use, ozone. The interesting thing is that in the view of the scientists, 3 of these have already been crossed. The boundaries that we should establish that are at a safe distance from the thresholds have already been crossed. What's also interesting in the context of what George said at the start, Rio '92, was that there were 2 legal agreements signed in Rio '92. There's none proposed for Rio this time. And one was on climate change and one was on biodiversity. And it's really interesting, those two, in the view of these scientists, those 2 boundaries have already been crossed. And it's a serious question about, when you talk to people about the effectiveness of legal instruments to protect the environment, it's a really difficult, increasingly difficult, it seems to me, job to persuade people that having international laws, which I think are absolutely essential, are in fact effective. So the plan here is with our idea is that actually not only do we need to have these laws, but we need to improve. We need to look at how we improve our laws in the context of these Earth system processes, and we need also, as a part of the principle of respect, to design private organisations accordingly, and that also means looking at the legal construct of the corporation, looking at corporation law, looking at the idea of the parent companies, why they're protected, why shareholders are protected, why the fiduciary duty continues to exist without any moral basis, the the ideas of the directors not normally being personally responsible. These kinds of ideas that are at the heart of corporation law would also need to be, in my view, addressed as a part of respecting and our approach of respecting the planet. And then the responsibility principle would involve legal principles and rights of access to justice and going to court, rights of Mother Earth. It would be specific mechanisms to protect this. So the idea is to have some centralized supra-sectoral body. It doesn't have to be at a UN level, ideally under a convention in time, where you basically draw together at a planetary level the understanding of people in the world about the importance of all these processes, so that we keep an eye on them and we keep pressure to make sure that we try to keep within them as best we can to create what the scientists call a safe operating space for humanity. So that's the basic idea, and I brought some of the copies of the Declaration of Law as well, and you can find it on planetaryboundariesinitiative.org as well.